Hey, speaking of some injuries.
Kyle Pitts finally gets touchdowns.
Stephania, please speak it into existence. We need more Kyle Pitts touchdowns.
Wait, who does he play for?
The Falcons field. Stop it. All right, we're going to talk about some quarterbacks here. We had some quarterback injuries. I want to ask you, Stephania. We got a handful of. We're going to talk like positive things into all this Falcons talk. I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you.
Let's start with Joe Burrow. I want to ask you about a couple of quarterbacks coming out of that quarterback conversation. Joe Burrow, you've talked about him and throwing this offseason, how important it is, and the expectation of what he's going to look like once he returns. What do we know so far right now?
So we know that he is throwing, which is that's great. You know, you love to see it. Spring practice, he's throwing a little bit. For people who might have forgotten, scapholunate ligament, very important for wrist stability and normal range of motion. Pardon? Scapholunate.
Who amongst us hasn't dealt with scapholunate pain in the past?
Right. Well, when he had it, and you guys might remember, I said this is not something you typically see in quarterbacks. And I think one of the most interesting, we love to see Joe Burrow, number one, running around in that video.
Absolutely.
The calf is better.
Yep.
Remember, that was the issue last year going into this. Joe Burrow said a couple really interesting things. Number one, he acknowledged that he still has discomfort in his wrist. They're working through it. He was not meant to be fully cleared by now, and he is not. He is not fully cleared for contact. I like that he's throwing. I like that the receivers are saying the right things. It looks the same, feels the same coming out of his hands, but it's controlled. And it will be interesting to see how he does as the volume and the workload progresses, because that's where, if you're dealing with like a sore or it's harder to put the touch and the accuracy on certain passes, that's where it will show up. So that's one thing. The second thing is he said he tried to find other people to talk to about it, just sort of what to expect. When he had the knee ligament injury, plenty of people have had multi-ligament knee. You know, he's had other things that he's talked to people about. He couldn't find another quarterback. This is not a quarterback injury. This is typically, you see it in defensive players who get their wrist jammed. You see it when guys fall. His tour, if you recall, was during a game and he was complaining of the pain.
Yep.
And my thought immediately, once I heard the diagnosis, was that just doesn't typically happen that way. Maybe he had something in college where he fell, he landed on it wrong. You know, there could be a setup where the ligament was weakened and then it just kind of finally went. Consider that he had the calf injury, was taking a lot more upper body force to throw the ball for multiple weeks. What I would love for Joe Burrow, and it's not going to be this year, I would love for him to get a normal training camp with nothing at all coming into the season, because we've had the knee, the appendectomy, the calf issue, and now the wrist. So I think it's really hard to gauge what we're going to get. I love where he is, but I'm not prepared to say that I'm completely worry-free.
So a couple things here. The Bengals must watch a lot of soccer. You know, every soccer player in Europe has the sickest hair ever.
Yes.
For those that aren't watching the video right now, we're just rolling some of the highlights courtesy of the Bengals.
It's beautiful.
Joe's hair is in mid-season form.
What
Not
was
even mid-season.
What was better?
Joe's hair is ready for the Super Bowl right now. No surprise, we have great video. Our producer, Tyler, who's an excellent producer here, a star at ESPN, is a huge Bengals fan as well. So, of course, he had this ready. Meanwhile, Trent Irwin's kind of got the Daniel Dopp look, and then Andre Yoshivas.
He's
Andre's
just
like
top to bottom. He looks like
behind the back. Behind the back, nifty here. I'll say this:
Princeton.
the health has to check out, and if it does, vengeance here for Joe Burrow. I think Joe is pissed off for greatness right now because of all the quarterbacks in the AFC. And we're all measuring them against Patrick Mahomes. So he's the only one who's gone there and beat Patrick Mahomes in his hometown, at his home stadium, no less, right? There's only one team that has slayed the beast, that has overcome the monster that is the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. One in the entire AFC, other than the Patriots, before Patrick Mahomes has become Super Bowl winner, right? So I guess two teams ever. The Patriots in 2018, and the Bengals in 2022, I believe it was. January of 2022, so the 2021 season. I think Joe realizes, this is all there. It's attainable for him. But he's sick of everybody talking about Patrick Mahomes being the undisputed best player on the planet, and the Chiefs being the team that's going to be the first team to ever three-peat in the Super Bowl era. I think there's a vengeance tour coming. This is...
He's got to be frustrated. I mean, it's been...
That was
Don't act like you don't know.
No, I really want to go. I'm just very jealous of all those that have gone. But I
you can go to Europe right now in your free time and catch
it. Okay, good idea.
Phil, do you want to give us a who day before we leave?
Who day?
That's right.
But yeah, I'm in on Joe Burrow. Can we stash him even though that wasn't?
Yes, you can stash Joe Burrow. Yes.
Nobody wants this for more. I feel like I do. I don't.
Tyler wants it more than you do, but other than Tyler,
but just from my injury lane, I so badly want that healthy Joe Burrow, because he did come so close, and that's probably why he's so frustrated. Like, he tasted it. They were there, and then they couldn't get the Super Bowl win.
Can I just quick note from Kevin Pulsifer? That's funny. Like maybe one of the reasons why the Falcons drafted Michael Penix Jr. is they wanted to give some veteran mentorship to Kyle Pitts, because Penix is older than Kyle Pitts.
Of course he is.
How's that possible?
That's unreal.
How is that possible? He's going into his 4th season.
I know. He just turned 24. Like, it was his birthday the other day.
Yeah, May 8th was Penix's birthday.
That's amazing.
Gosh,
all right.
anyways.
Stephania, speaking of quarterbacks that I want to see out on the field, I know you want to see Joe Burrow. I want to see Anthony Richardson. He got hurt last year, obviously. Had a shoulder injury. Where did that end up? Was that a grade 3? Do we know what grade that sprain was?
Actually,
I know you did a video on it.
It was actually worse than a grade 3, grade 4. This is... you don't have a choice but to fix it type of injury. And so, there were, if you recall back, so he was injured. It was week 5 that he suffered the AC separation. There was a question about whether he was going to have surgery or not. Ultimately, surgery was a necessary thing.
October 24th is when he had it.
The AC joint is at the tip of your shoulder, and it matters because in a thrower, as you come overhead, as you see him, like, look at this throw right now.
That's
the people that are watching on video, that is a guy who I am not worried about his throwing coming into training camp. He is throwing so well right now. And one of the things you worry about coming off of that kind of surgery, and if you didn't see the YouTube bit that I did on Anthony Richardson's injury way back when he had the surgery, I interviewed Alex Smith. I've heard of Alex Smith. Alex Smith actually had this injury. People have forgotten about it. It was so early in his career.
People often compare Alex Smith and Anthony Richardson.
And he had a very hard time post-op with it. Anthony Richardson looks great. The surgery went very well. He's been throwing ahead of schedule. It's not just the fact he's throwing, it's how he's throwing. You often lose that ability to rotate and come totally across your body. It's hard for guys. That gets into an uncomfortable spot for your shoulder. He's doing that already.
Love that.
He looks fantastic. I'm not worried about him being 100% ready to go when the season starts.
Love that.
That's what I want to hear.
We've talked often on this show about how you don't, like, it's not just the draft that decides how you do in the season. And so along those lines, I've thought about this. I don't know if it'll happen because you're at the mercy of 7, 9, 11, 13 more members of a league. There's a chance that in a draft at some point this year, I take Anthony Richardson as the first quarterback off the board. There's a chance.
Wow.
Because if you think about, like, the chances of him being the highest scoring quarterback,
absolutely.
It's totally in play. Where, Josh Allen has, if Josh experiences a regression this year, and I have him as quarterback 1, so I'm not anticipating that. But if it were to happen, you'd say, well, the weapons aren't what they were last year, right? If Jalen Hurts were to experience a regression this year, it might be, well, they signed Saquon Barkley to take care of some of that goal line duties, right? If Anthony Richardson stays healthy, what's going to slow that guy down from being a 20 to 25 point per game scorer?
So he only had 2 full games in his very short rookie season.
Yep.
20.9 and 29.6 fantasy points.
Yeah,
in
pretty
those 2
good,
games.
right?
Those are
As a rookie when he was still learning what the heck to do.
For a small sample size, right?
Yeah. Now, the strongest case I can think against it would be this, is they did not have Jonathan Taylor at the beginning of last season when he was playing. So one of their favorite plays from the 5-yard line and in was this designed quarterback draw where Richardson he takes the ball from shotgun, has a chance to just sort of scan the middle of the field and figure out which lane was most available and just basically battering ram through that lane.
Yep.
Maybe Jonathan Taylor being back reduces the number of times they lean on that play, but otherwise I'm like, shoot, the upside's as big as any quarterback in the entire league.
I would agree with that.
So he will be, I think, in every draft that I'm in, a top 5 quarterback draft. But if for some reason I'm feeling a little frisky, I would consider making him the top drafted quarterback in one of my leagues this year.
Wow. I love that. I've already done that in a best ball league.
Because I feel like there's a chance I can make up for it. Like I just said, you don't win. Like, I'm acknowledging you have to do more than just draft to win your league.
Yes.
And so, hey, if I take Anthony Richardson, if I go big on him, I'll have a Caleb Williams waiting in the wings, right? Like there are enough options.
They happen to be my 2
emerge.
dynasty quarterbacks. No big deal.
Wow.
A conversation about trade after
Tough. Yeah, exactly. That's not what I wanted to hear.
Meanwhile,
Listen, we all know what my luck has been in that league, so.